Hi, welcome to the preview show. This is the first of my vlogs that I've looked at previewing the events that are going on the European Tour, European and PGA Tour moving forward, although this week for this first one I'm just going to focus on the European Tour. And what I want to try and do in these vlogs is just perhaps give you some insight into the history of the tournament, who's obviously playing, and most importantly, who are perhaps some of my tips of people you need to be looking out for if you're going to have a little flutter. So this week it's obviously the start of the European Tour. It's the big event to kick it all off. I know there's been a couple of events down in South Africa, but this is really the main flagship event that really sort of starts the tour in earnest for the year ahead. And it's in Abu Dhabi at the Abu Dhabi Golf Club, and it's the HSBC Championship. This is an event that's been going on for sort of since 2006. And it's always one that's sort of historically quite close. There's always, I think in the previous 12 years that it's been held, there's only been one shot in it from the winner to the runner-up. So it's historically quite a close event. Unless, of course, Martin Kaymer is having one of those tournaments. He's won it 3 times, this event. And 2 of those occasions he's won, once by 8 shots and the other one by 4 shots. So if he gets on it, then all bets are off. He's going to romp away with it. But that aside, it seems to be a pretty close event. And it's one of those golf courses that clearly sort of past history and pedigree matter. So you've got Martin Kaymer's won it 3 times. Paul Casey's won it a couple of times. Rory's, he's never won it, but he's been runner-up 3 times. Pablo Larrazábal has won it in 2015 and was a runner-up last year. So there's definitely a theme of people that tend to do well at this course tend to always do well at this course. So that's certainly one thing to bear in mind. The strength of the field is always good. Obviously we had DJ and, well, Tiger for a little bit last year before he pulled out. DJ again is here this week. So you've got some big guns in the field. DJ, Rory, Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson, Paul Casey, Brandon Grace, Tommy Fleetwood, Tyrrell Hatton, etc., etc. So the field is really very strong, perhaps one of the strongest that the European Tour get all season. And so kind of by that nature, you would think it'd probably be relatively top heavy in terms of who's actually going to come out on top. And I really wouldn't be surprised if I was going to put my money down on one of the 3 favourites. So DJ's favourite at 5-1, Rory's at 7-1, and Justin Rose is at 8-1. Out of those 3, I'd say Rory's the least likely, just because we don't know what he's going to do, based on the fact that he's had obviously 3 months off to try and fully recuperate from his rib injury. He's obviously he's been a year now with TaylorMade, so hopefully he's used to the equipment, and we saw some good stuff, but his putting was still what let him down really last year, so we don't really know where that's at, so we haven't really got any data to go by. But with DJ and Justin, we do. So DJ obviously won against a very strong field in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago, and he won by a huge margin. So he's obviously in form, and Justin Rose has won 3 times out of his last 10 events and finished in the top 10 of all of them. So again, I mean, he's someone who's just in awesome form. If I was to pick out of those 2, I would go Justin. He played very well in Dubai. The Tour Championships came runner-up to Rahm. That was only, 6-7 weeks ago. So he knows the conditions probably better than DJ. And, I just like him. I think he's good. So if you're going to go for one of the favourites, I would go for him. In that kind of next tier down, somebody to look out for is Paul Casey at 18-1. Now, I know he's not won on the PGA Tour, and that's sort of held against him a little bit. He's won several times on numerous occasions on the European Tour. And his game, he's always there or thereabouts. If you look at how he's sort of steadily grown up the world rankings over the last couple of years again, and his consistency of performance, he's always there or thereabouts. So as an each-way bet, for me, he's a no-brainer. 18-1. I know it's quite low odds, but it's just definitely a no-brainer to get him in there. And again, going back to my point earlier, he's got proven pedigree on that course. A couple of other people that don't necessarily have the pedigree on that course, but I quite like, and I expect them to make a bit of a run this year. I expect them to make a run for a couple of reasons. 1, because they're both super talented and young, and 2, it's a Ryder Cup year, so I expect them, the intensity this year and the want to achieve results is definitely going to be there. And those two are Matt Fitzpatrick, who's at 35 to 1, and Thomas Pieters at 40 to 1. Both these guys had dips in form last year, turned up a little bit. Thomas Pieters was better at the beginning of the season when Matt Fitzpatrick was not. And then it flipped around. Thomas Pieters didn't finish off the season so well, whereas Matt Fitzpatrick won the Nordea Masters and had a couple of decent finishes towards the end of the season last year. Both are just too good to not be there or thereabouts. Matt Fitzpatrick's short game naturally is fabulous, and Thomas Pieters' long game is very good. So I expect both of them to feature this year, and at 35 and 40 to 1 respectively, I think they're not bad each way bets. And then a couple of sort of more outsiders for you to look at. Again, another guy I have mentioned who's got form here, Pablo Larrazábal. I'll write it up here. He, a Spaniard who won in 2015 and was a runner-up last year. So at 100 to 1, he's definitely worth a punt. And again, I'm going to labour the point. He's got track record here, and I think that matters just by looking at just how people have done and who's won and historical data on this course. So for me, 100 to 1, he's a definite no-brainer as an each-way bet. Most betting companies are paying out up to 5 places, or if you're doing DraftKings as well, I'm not sure what he's going to be at in DraftKings, he'll definitely be worth a punt. And then a final player who I expect to make a step forward and doesn't necessarily have pedigree at this course, but I expect him to make further steps forward after a really good season last year. I think it was a rookie season last year. And that's Jordan Smith. Now he's at 160 to 1, so he's decent odds. A great ball striker, hits the ball long, solid short game. He was consistently in the top sort of 20-25 throughout the whole of last year and got better and better as it goes on. And I hope he sort of builds on that. All the sort of stories and feedback I hear from people on the tour and from stuff that I've read online, etc., expect him to continue to make those steps forward. They really think he could be perhaps the next sort of Tyrrell Hatton type individual. So Jordan Smith as an outside bet is worth a little punt. So there you go, that's my choices for this week. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the top 3 did win. I'm really hoping Rory has a good week. It'd be lovely to see him back on form. I think to throw him in the mix with DJ Spieth, Thomas, etc., would be good again. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is one of those top 3. But hopefully I've given you some other names there of people to look out for. Welcome your thoughts and feedback. Any comments you might have, put them below. Tell me who you think might win this week or who you think might show up quite well. What I'm also going to do hopefully later this week is just put out another video of some breakthrough candidates on the tour, your Tyrrell Hatton, Tommy Fleetwoods, those types of individuals that sort of come up to the forefront a little bit more into our consciousness this year. So I'm going to do that later this week. But yeah, welcome your thoughts and look forward to hearing from you. Cheers, bye.